If you've always wanted to learn how to draw leaves or other botanical drawings but haven't felt confident enough to start, or feel like you can't quite get them to look right, I'm sure this video will be able to help you on your creative journey. We're going to go over different types of leaf shapes, shading techniques, and doodle examples you're welcome to use for your own creations. Hi friends, I'm Jen, and let's get started. Now our first leaf drawing is inspired by this little guy here, and we're going to start off with our stem, and we're going to create these long oval-like leaves just for our warm-up. And I like to keep things simple with my line art, and let's just start by doing one line in the middle of those leaves. We are going to create some more long type leaves, but we're going to do a point on this second one as we continue to warm up. We'll do those lines in the middle just to start. Now our next leaf is inspired by this little guy here and his spiky edges, and we're going to create this leaf stem by creating a kind of half circle or bell at the bottom and creating those little spiked edges up at the top. And for some reason my hand just prefers to create these by going from the bottom upwards. It just seems easier for me, and it might be easier for you as well. And we'll do that line up the middle, and as you can see with this example leaf, you can see the veining on the leaves, and that's what we're going to add into this one as well. And with your veining you have two options. You can create the lines to touch the edges fully, or you can just have them slightly out from your middle line. Now here we have a different leaf shape, and I love doing these ones because they're so simplistic and they're so fun to draw for me. So these ones are just round leaves, and you're just going to create some branching out. Sometimes I do 2, sometimes I do 3, but there's not really a wrong way to do this type of leaf stem. So these round leaves I find kind of look nice with some shading down at the very bottom, so just adding a couple curved lines at the bottom creates a little bit of depth and some interest to your leaves. Now here is the same type of round leaf, but for this one we are going to shade the leaves a little bit differently. So for these we're going to create a line up the center, and on half of the line we're going to just do some hatching or some lines down, and this can create shadow. And you know what? These also don't need to be realistic all the time. These can just be doodles for fun as well. And in this section of the video, we are just going to focus on individual leaves and some different shading techniques, so you can follow along with these. And now for these leaves. These ones we're going to work on making different shapes and different sizes all on one stem, or in this case, two. I find this stem is part eucalyptus, part something else, and I kind of think that's the beauty of doodling and creating leaves, is they don't need to be an exact replica. And here I'm starting to create some lines at the base of the leaves that would indicate some sort of shadow and depth and more interest for these two stems. Now for these leaves, these are really fun to create because you don't have to worry about perfection. You don't need to worry about your lines being super straight. You're gonna hold your pen or your pencil just really loosely and create kind of wobbly lines. And it creates a more realistic type of movement in the leaf. So these ones are fun to play around with. And this is another example for creating those loose leaves. For this one though, we're going to have it taper off at the end, but have that rounded kind of oval shape still. But again, as you're moving your pen or your pencil across your page, you want to create a wobbly line around the edges. And again, it creates an interesting leaf shape. And for the shading and detail that we're going to add to these leaves, we're going to do some veining, and this creates, in my opinion, a really beautiful look to these kind of realistic wobbly leaves. Now for this stem of leaves, we're going to really create these long oval shapes. And what's going to make this set of leaves different is that we're going to try a different shading technique for this one. And as the example leaf shows here, we have veining that goes from the bottom to the top, and we're going to mimic that with this shading technique. You're going to create generally 3 lines at the bottom of the leaf and then 3 or 2 at the top. And this creates a nice look and something different to try. Now with this quick leaf drawing, we're just going to do 3 quick little leaves, and we are going to do some veining with these as well. But the thing that will make these different is that we're going to have the veins actually reach from the middle part of the leaf all the way out to the other edge. And sometimes I find this looks best when the veining is done on an angle like this. Now, as you're following along with this stem, there's another type of technique that we can use that will create some interest to your leaves. And how you create this is just doing one little line at the top and one little line at the bottom. I think the simplicity of these leaves is really beautiful. And now that we've gone over a couple of different shading techniques and a couple of leaf shapes, the following two stems of leaves are ones that you can follow along with and go and try for yourself. Leaf is going to be based off of this little fern here, and I'm going to start by creating these long leaves similar to the shape that a fern makes. Create a little bit of darkness at the base of each leaf. That kind of makes it pop off the page a little bit. It doesn't have to be complicated to be beautiful. In fact, it's usually the more simple leaves that I create that I like the most. And next we're going to be doing a eucalyptus inspired stem. Now eucalyptus leaves can vary in size and vary in direction. So we're just going to play around and see what happens with our leaves here. Now I feel like my leaf doodle page is looking pretty good, but there are a couple of blank white spaces that I'd rather be more filled in, so I'm just going to create a couple of little fall woodland type of drawings just to fill in a couple of the spaces. So I'll draw these little acorns here and anything else that kind of comes to mind. Well friends, as we end this video, I hope you enjoyed it. Please pause when you need to and rewatch sections that you need. I hope you learned a couple of new leaf ideas that you can try out. And most importantly, I hope you enjoyed turning off your brain for a little bit and doing something creative. So if you enjoyed this video, please press that subscribe button, and I hope to see you next time.